Financial leadership is changing. CFOs no longer record history. They make history. This podcast will help you become a better leader, strategic thinker, and digital visionary. Welcome to Secrets of Rockstar CFOs, the ultimate podcast for chief financial officers. Follow along as Jack McCullough engages in exciting chats with accomplished CFOs, learning how they overcame obstacles and positioned their companies for the future. Here's your host, Jack McCullough.
Welcome back, everyone. We have a great episode today. I'm really excited about it. My guest is Atsushi Kitamura. He is the CFO of Astellas. Astellas is a global life science company committed to turning innovative science into value for patients with a focus on pioneering new healthcare solutions for diseases with high unmet medical need. Welcome to the Secrets of Rockstar CFO.
Thank you very much, Jack, for having me here. That is my honor to be here, and I'm very much looking forward to have a great the discussion with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed getting to know you in the prep. And as I mentioned, this is the first time we've had a guest from Japan on our show. So, truly an honor for me, and I know for my listeners as well. And I did my best describing Astellas, but I was hoping maybe you could give a more complete view for my listeners.
Thank you very much, Jack. I think you explained our company, Astellas, very well. Just maybe I add in a few words. We provide transformative therapies in disease area that include oncology, urology, ophthalmology, and immunology, and women's health. And we are the Japanese company headquartered in Tokyo, and we manage about 70 countries across the world business for pharmaceutical. So we are a global company, but led by Japanese, the headquarters. We have about 15,000 employees across the world, and we are not big, a gigantic pharma, but we are not small. We are so-called mid-sized, pharmaceutical company that will give us more flexibility, agility to adapt, whatever we need for, science industry. And as CFO, I'm responsible to steering Astellas towards the growth for both top line and bottom line, so that we can really create long-term enterprise value.
That's wonderful. And when, I was reading the description of the company, it's like very few people are fortunate enough as you are to work for a company that truly makes the world a better place to be. And, congratulations to you and thanks to you for being in a company like that. It's just a wonderful thing that there are companies like yours out there to, take care of our health.
Thank you very much. That would, mean a lot to us.
Indeed. So I will definitely return to that, but I want to talk a little about your own background before we get into it. And can you tell us where did you, obviously you're from Japan, but where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tokyo, Japan, spent most of the time in Tokyo, but I spent the 10 years in Kansai area. That is where we have, the Tokyo in the east and Osaka in the west in Japan. I spent 10 years in the west in Osaka as well.
Oh, great. So, and I know you went to school at the University of Tokyo. And
yes.
I believe you studied economics.
Yes, that was, I studied economics, but I spent most of my time in the sports. I played lacrosse for the college, and I really enjoyed that.
What sports did you participate in?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse. Oh, okay. Wow. I wasn't aware that lacrosse was popular in Japan. So that's good. Did you play to the collegiate level then?
Yes.
It's interesting because when we started the podcast, I realized after like 10 episodes, and we've had a lot of really good CFOs at it, almost every CFO played sports in college. I've begun to realize, geez, everyone I talk to is a better athlete than me. Not that I'm a good athlete, but I'm not bad either, right? So I'm like, well, that's great that you were able to play it at that level. And do you find like playing a team sport translates to business effectively? I know a lot of Americans believe that it does. It helps with the teamwork and things.
Absolutely, Jack. I believe that there's a lot of things we can leverage from the experience in the sports to the business, because of course game is important. We have 4 quarters to win the game, but before the game, we need to practice. We need to make a team, and we need to set a strategy, and we need to engage our the teammate So it's pretty very much common in business field as well.
Now that would sort of explain why so many successful executives were former athletes, I suppose. But so you studied economics in undergrad, and is that a common field of study for somebody that wants to, that will eventually become a chief financial officer? Because I would think it would be very critical today.
I think so, but when I was the university student age, especially in Japan, it's different between what we study in college, university, and what we would do in the company after joining the new company as a new graduate. Because in Japan, in many cases, it's more like train the people in general skills. So join the company as a sales representative and do the marketing, do the finance, and or do HR type things. That is more like broader, career, the making progression in typical Japanese company when I was young. But I joined Procter & Gamble. That's a American company, the consumer good, global company, but they have headquarters in Kobe, close to Osaka. And I joined to the P&G, and P&G, Procter & Gamble, hire people by functions. So I choose finance and accounting as my choice to join the P&G. So since then, my journey in finance start.
Interesting. A little bit of trivia. I'm older than you, so we were never coworkers, but I did an internship at Procter & Gamble when I was a young person. The corporate headquarters at the time were in, actually, I'm sorry, it was Gillette, not Procter & Gamble. I'm a little off kilter here, but which eventually got acquired by Procter & Gamble. But Gillette's headquarters are about 10 minutes from where I grew up. So it's interesting that our paths were there. But no, that sounds like a great start to your career. And when you think you came out and you graduated for, one of the best brand companies, certainly one of the best American brand companies, and I assume perhaps it's considered that way around the world. But what was it that you thought, hey, this is the right company for me to start my career?
I'm impressed by the people there because, of course, I met many people as a company as well. Very much impressed by the people in Procter & Gamble because they're very tough to the performance, but at the same time, taking care of people because, there's a very strong philosophy in Procter & Gamble, people first. And we need to build team and train people so that we can perform better. I think that is the things we follow in Procter & Gamble. And that is also mean a lot to me. And that is the reason why I choose Procter & Gamble. And also that it's a global company. So if I join there, maybe I have a chance to go to the world. So I think that is the motivation for me to join P&G that time.
That makes a lot of sense. And when you look back upon your experience at P&G, were there some leaders that stuck out to you who, perhaps served as mentors to you? Were they people maybe that you just learned valuable business and life lessons from?
Of course, there are many people who influenced me a lot. Especially when I was junior, that we are kind of eager to learn, from others, right? And there's I still remember one meeting with the CFO, the group CFO that time, and there was the meeting with them, the leadership team, the global headquarter management team visits Japan maybe once a year or twice a year that time. And I was there to join the meeting, and I asked a question to the CFO. I do have conflict. Like at that time, I was working for the cosmetic business, and there's prestige skincare business. Now high prices, but try to expand the user profile from the relatively senior person to junior, young, the generations. So they start aggressive, aggressive advertisement, including TV, to increase the profile, increase the consumer profile. Now, that time I was kind of struggling, to really, the layout for the short-term view, it's better to do some, the promotion, hard promotions to really quickly expand the user profile. Long term, that may increase the impact on the brand equity. That may hurt, the loyal users. If we start promoting those brands a lot. So it's kind of long-term, mid-term dilemmas. And I asked the CFO that time, I have that issues. And I clearly remember what he told me. Atsushi, welcome. That is the fun part of doing business. You need to make sure, you need to make a judgment, you need to make decisions. It's not black and white, but you need to make decisions, seeing those all risks, all profiles.
Wow.
And that is a fun part of business. I really remember that word.
Yeah, that sounds like a mentor who, a great mentor to have, and one who's made a lasting impact on you. And you had a very lengthy career at P&G. Were you there over 20 years, I believe? Is that?
Actually, P&G in 14 years. But actually, 14. Jack, I was, when P&G acquired Gillette was a great company. Mm-hmm. And I moved to Gillette, Japan, Korea to integrate in P&G. So I visit in Boston and also the Kronberg in the brand business. I mean, really, it's a great company. I really, so straightforward, very, the simple business, structure that really create the value for the market. I really respect that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little shocking as a Bostonian when Gillette was acquired because, you grow up there. So many of your friends worked there over years. It's like, what? They were acquired? How'd that even happen? But you're right. It was definitely a great company. But one thing I really found admirable about your resume, Atsushi, is you've been successful in a wide variety of industries. So you worked obviously at P&G with consumer goods. You've worked in food services, car electronics, and now you're in the pharmaceutical industries. And, finance maybe is universal, but business is not. So, how did it come about that you changed industries? And I think more importantly, how did you grasp the business quickly as a financial leader? Because it's not like you're in a back-end job. You're on the front lines as an executive.
Thank you very much for asking that question, tough questions. The first, that I didn't make choices to choose which company I want to join because of industry. The see, how I can contribute that company's success and how I can learn from those experiences. That is important, decision-making criteria for me to join the company. And that is really, just coincident that I do have several industry experience, as you said. Having said that, there is a lot of common things as a finance. At the end of the day, we need to sell more and we need to save more to deliver more. I think it's a really simple, the structure on the finance, and also the important part of finance is integrity. And we need to make sure we compliance well, we have right governance, and we have right procedures. So value creation and the governance type things is two important aspect on the finance, and that is really common for all company, all industry. Now you are right. True, each different industry have different the parameters, key drivers, and which we need to learn relatively quickly. And one of my principle is really making sure I don't pretend I know everything. Ask the right question to the right people, and if we do have good, if we can make a good relationship, they can tell me whatever I need to know. So that is one thing.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And also I always said my principle, that is the Genba Genjitsu and Genbutsu. It's in Japanese word, but in translate in English, go to the real battlefield, reality, focus on the real issues, speak to the real people. Not just sit down in a meeting, the office, and not in the PC, looking at the PC or whatever. Spend time in the real places, so that and we can learn from those kind of reality. And once we got that reality, it's relatively easy to pick up how I can contribute to that business.
Okay, so I want to be sure I got those words right. So it was Genba. Genbutsu and Jitsu?
Genjitsu, yes.
Okay. So I apologize for mispronunciations, but
no, perfect.
It's interesting. I would love you to talk to a lot of my younger members because, I tell people that, to make the transition from going from being an accountant to being a chief financial officer, I encourage them, there's an expression, walk the floor, which means get out of your office, talk to people in the company who aren't in accounting and finance, talk to your customers, talk to people who build the product, and really get an understanding of the business. But I like what you said better. It sounds a lot better coming from you and in the Japanese language. So I'm going to try to apply some of these principles. So I think that's fantastic. So I'd love to, unless you want to build upon that, I'd love to ask you a little about Astellas. And it's a wonderful company. So maybe I know the reason, but perhaps you could share with us, how the position became available and what attracted you to the role.
The Astellas is really, as I said, operate, and serve for the patient all over the world. And even we are a Japanese company, the Japan and business portion is less than 20%. 80%, revenue, business is coming from outside Japan. So we are very much globalized. And we do have CEO Naoki Okamura. He's Japanese, but his management team, including myself, about 9, 10, CXO, so-called. And we do have the non-Japanese CXO as well. So it's pretty much global operations. Now the Astellas make several transformations because in the pharma industry, pharmaceutical industry, because of the loss of exclusivity of our patent IP, the every 10, 15, 20 years, the product will be changed based on the product, the product, medicine change. Sometimes that requires, different, different way to the business, go to the market. So I think I see that this industry, from outsider before I joined this company, but every decade or 2 decades, company need to do the transformations. And Astellas, same, and we are global and operating in our company, but need to go to the next level because our future pipeline is promising, but may different from current our portfolios. So we really need to make sure we do have global operational foundations, and that's why Astellas is looking for the CFO who can help and lead that transformations.
That makes sense. And yeah, that's great. It sounds like you were very, very well suited for the role. But you mentioned your CEO, and I'm curious because in the United States, the CFO position has evolved to the point now that CEOs and CFOs, it's considered a very strategic and perhaps the most important partnership within a company. And I'm wondering how you've built that type of relationship with Akamura-san at your company. And, you might be his closest advisor within the company.
Thank you very much, asking that question. I call, Naoki Okamura is our CEO. He called me Atsushi, and I call him Naoki, even in Japanese context. So it's that relations. Now the Naoki is the CEO now, but there's some time she also covers CFO. So he has finance background. He has finance knowledge, but he is very good at dedicating me to the work. So is trust me. He trusts me, and that of course the big theme I agree with him, but for the execution, or real lead, that he delegated me a lot. And also I see, that the CEO, CFO combination is important, but always I think how I can help as a CFO to CEO. And just my personal thought, but what is the difference between CEO and CFO? Any ideas?
To me, the biggest difference, there's so many of them, but I think the biggest one is the CEO is the first person everybody looks to for strategy and leadership. And the CFO, everyone looks to the CEO, but the CEO to me looks to the CFO. When they're not sure what's going on, the first person they turn to is you. Is
Yeah,
that kind of right? I mean, obviously there's a lot different distinctions, but that's how I look at it.
that is very helpful, Jack. My personal thought is the difference between CEO and CFO is E and F, right?
Pretty simple.
Yeah, E has three vertical line. F has only two vertical line.
Nice.
And sorry, the horizontal line. Now, the center of horizontal line is horizon. CFO cover horizon and above, while CEO need to cover both above the below the horizon and also under. What does it mean? The CEO need to see the world which is invisible for most of us, but need to make judgment, need to make strategy, need to make a lot of things based on what they can see, but others cannot see. That factors. That is a long-term strategy, whatever. CFO above the horizons. That means make those thinking visible, executable, feasible, also doable. So CFO job is relatively easy because CEO define that difficult part and make it pragmatic, make it feasible. Sometimes need to carry somehow bring the capital to do that. Sometimes we need to do the right setup, organizational setup, build break down the capability required. But that's relatively CFO job. But because CFO is again, the horizon and above. So that concept works for me well, not only in Astellas, but also other places.
I love that answer. Jess will tell you after we're off. I don't say very often that I love that answer, but I think that's just fantastic how you describe that. I never thought of it as being broken down that way. So thank you for that. I'm going to steal that from you next time I speak at a conference or something like that. So I'm kidding. I won't steal it from you.
No, feel free. Feel free.
But that's great. But I want to talk a little bit about the pharmaceutical industries. And, it's one that I can't say I'm intimately familiar with. I'd be curious, what are some of the biggest challenges, if your company in particular, of course, but the industry in generally dealing with in, right now, we're recording in May of 2025, a lot of global turmoil going on. So what are the challenges you're facing? And, more importantly, how are you preparing for them and what are you doing to face them?
That is a very interesting question. And we do have some uniqueness as a pharmaceutical industry as it is, and also current situations, bit shaky situation, not in a pharma but also global, the entire economic things. Okay, one by one. For pharma industry, it's we are the science industry, and that requires longer lead time, also less probability of success. Like the one person said that, and the success rate probability of creating new medicine, 1 out of 10,000 or 20,000, 10,000 of 20,000, that probability. And so many cases, often it's natural for us to fail, but we cannot fail everything because at least we need to have 1 or 2 success. But that is the kind of the industry, and that to qualify that entire process, that requires 10 years, for example.
Right.
Now, it's a very unique dynamics because, as I said, most of the action will be failed. I never experienced this kind of probability of success in other industry. We cannot afford this kind of probability of success, food service business, or even Procter & Gamble, consumer and good product companies. No. So that is the very different dynamics, and we need to respect the value creation flow, because at the end of the day, that will be a source of growth in futures. Now, the current environment, global environment, is really shaky, I'd say. The interest rate effects as a tariff, global, geopolitical things is relatively, the unstable compared to our ability, the lead time. We may have less adaptability to those kind of change, at least for short term, compared to other industry. Now, for short term, what we need to do anyway, we need to focus on what we can control. So if there's uncertainties or there's ambiguity increase, we need to prepare. We have the right basic operation in good shape. I need to create more buffer or the flexibility to doing business, yet dealing with those uncertainty. We need to prepare well, maybe with some scenarios. If scenario A happened, what will be action? If B happened, what will be actions? We need to do those kind of scenario planning ahead. So that is what we are doing now. For short term, mid term is different. What will be what will be happening in 10-year time horizons? Because what we are working for science creation is maybe coming 10-year time horizon. We need to make a lot of judge study and make some choices that may impact on our future. Maybe that would be a difference between CEO and CFO work.
Sure.
But that's what we need to do now. So multiple things are happening on, but again, as I said, short term, mid to long term action are a bit different.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious, given that you worked in so many industries that are different, right? And not that they're not going through their challenges, but I'm wondering if maybe working in 4 different sets of industries or with 4 different types of leadership teams, did that sort of broaden your mind to possibilities and different ways to solve problems a little bit?
Yes, because I can bring some diversified the experiences as well as thinking, and also my experience in the food service business, and also the car electricity business is more like business turnaround, because I work with private equity in a fund to turn around those. So relatively tough cash flow situations, and make a quick win, and also followed by the continuous win for midterm. That we need to do, because time is limited for those portfolios. So we need to have very disciplined approach to make a business turnaround one by one. Now, our case, as I said, the pharma industry is relatively longer lead time. But maybe value I can bring to this company, this industry, is respect the longer term, the long lead time. But there's still something we can do for with some disciplines, considering the time requirement. So I may have relatively shorter pitch to manage business that may impact and that may improve performance. So I'm very and that is one of the reasons why Naoki, the CEO, decide to have me as a CFO, who has different strengths, different background than the pharma industry.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And one thing I've learned about your company, which I find quite interesting, is a lot of companies in your space have been adopting AI in the drug discovery process. But you've actually been using it since 2019. I mean, you guys are way ahead of the curve, I have to think. And so, tell us a little about that, how you sort of took the lead, because, 2019, it wasn't on everybody's mind, I wouldn't think, even in your industry.
Thank you very much. I think, again, Astellas really committing science and innovations, because our mission is done the innovative science into the solution, the value for the patient. And that is also, a means we will leverage whatever available, technology in outside the companies. And I see the drug discovery area, especially, the technology data adaptation is fast. And we already see great, results from there. Of course, the digitalization itself is not the objective. That is a tool, a process, was just levers for us to be perform better. But I think adaptation is relatively good. Now, can we do that adaptation, not only the drug discovery, but also our business operations? Because some area, I see that if I see it's natural for any companies, the relatively advanced area in the value chain means other areas still behind. And my area, like business operation finance area, is relatively slow compared to that and move. So I need to push it up.
Okay, fascinating. And you touched on a little bit about using AI in business applications, and of course one of the areas that's really embracing it with some concerns because of cybersecurity and data privacy issues is finance and accounting. So have you been embracing AI within the world of finance and accounting?
And we are trying, not yet, the level we can say I'm certified. Because I see a lot of great company, like tech company, adapt those areas very well. So I need to, again, push it up harder to this company. But you are right. Always, we need to consider both sides, right? The benefit side, also the security governance side. And back to my, the experience with the CFO conversation in Procter & Gamble. If I ask the same question to that gentleman, I know he will ask. His reply is, "Hey, Atsushi, that's why your job is so interesting, right? You need to have both benefit and control."
That makes a lot of sense. So one question I want to ask you, and I find it interesting because you're clearly with a company that I don't know enough about them to say it's risk-taking. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's clearly innovative and it's kind of fearless about the way it solves problems. And it should be because what it does for people is so important. And yet at the same time, you're a finance person. So you're probably a little bit risk averse. So how do you sort of balance those things? You want to bring, good financial practices to the company. You want to, reduce the risk profile, but you don't want to kill the spirit of innovation, as we sometimes call it here. How do you manage both of those roles?
Very interesting questions. Again, as I said, it depends on it. I think it's a situational, but more like, especially the early upstream, the upstream R&D, research project. Again, that is success probability is 1 out of 10,000 or 20,000. I cannot make any judgment, right? Well, which science will be fly? No. So what I say is, that are we allocating right capital resource to those areas? I cannot allocate too much, but the allocation is good enough. And within that allocation, they can make better judgment, much better judgment than me, honestly. So for early kind of less, probability of success cases, more like, the resource allocation type job and type discussions. To the downstream, go to market level, that is more like typical, kind of building, the building block, building up type, the actions. What is the logic of the incremental sales? Are we doing so? And can we see the market result? So shall we adjust the spending? It's more like ROI type discussions. That is a different. So, depend on which value chain we're talking about. I may change the question I ask, but eventually, the how to control it's differ, based on the stage of value chains.
That makes a lot of sense. So, you've had a very admirable career, and the role of the CFO has changed since you completed your education and started at P&G in ways that were probably hard to have predicted even 5 or 10 years ago. But even at that, I'd love to get your prediction. How do you see the CFO role continuing to evolve in the years ahead? You mentioned having like a 10-year plan. How does financial leadership fit into that?
I think the couple of big change may happen in CFO world because even CFO world, the technology can simplify it. Because one of the strengths as a CFO or the requirement as a CFO is kind of broadness of broader coverage. We need to take care of not only P&L but also balance sheet and cash flow. And the good thing is that we need to connect dot together. Sometimes that connection is beyond other functions because finance really in touch with the business in multiple value chain, right? And at the end of the day, we need to, again, the most of things will be not most of things will be translated into the numbers or cash. So the job of finance and CFO is connecting each dot to make better judgment. Maybe those kind of things can be done by AI. So that may really simplify the CFO job. So I don't know what is coming, but for sure it's all about people. again, my job is really, train, educate, and develop the next generation CFO. And that person may figure out what will be, 10 years coming different future. But my current job is really developing, the next, generation CFO.
I was actually going to ask you that question, so that's fantastic. But so I want to ask you. You mentioned earlier that you played lacrosse in college, and I know the CFO job it's a very difficult job. It's stressful. There's a lot of hours involved in it, and I'm not sure if you would be still playing lacrosse. But do you do any sports, or do you have any other hobbies when you're away from being a CFO? Because you can't be a CFO 16 hours a day, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Neither. Now, I spend time with our family, for shopping, travel, or eating out during weekend. And I'm the big fan of watching the movie or dramas, and also the not lacrosse, but play golf. But it's not the kind of the playing golf really creates stress. So I don't know. It's a good hobby for weekend, but
Yeah, I've never gotten good at golf, and I get so mad at myself when I try to play. So the fact that you can play it is good for you, because I didn't find it relaxing at all. I find work more relaxing than trying to become good at golf. Well, good for
I
you.
agree.
Well, like I said, I often like to close with a question on the next generation of CFOs. I feel you covered that already. So, I want to, take a moment. I really genuinely would like to thank you for your time today. I realize this isn't the most convenient time in the world for you to be doing this sort of thing, so I appreciate that. And I would just like to give you the opportunity to share your final thoughts.
Jack, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I really, enjoyed the conversation. Again, finance, CFO job is, the exciting, I'd say. So it's really trying, the need to cover multiple, element, broader coverage. But, again, don't be afraid and take challenge, to explore a new world, new area, so that eventually you will get the broader skill set to be in a competitive CFO. So keep on challenging and enjoy challenge.
Thank you for listening to this episode. To continue your exploration of this role that focuses on strategy, leadership, finance, and technology, listen to more episodes of the show at rockstarcfos.com. Join this revolution, episode by episode. Push yourself to achieve great things and unlock the best opportunities available to you. CFOs are creating a legacy, and it's time for you to leave your own unique imprint on the world today. That's all for now. See you on the next one.